Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dallas ISD virtual community listening session for HI Holland Elementary School at Lisbon. We thank you for joining us this evening. We want to hear your concerns, and we have if you're joining us on Facebook, please be sure to ask any questions you may have in the comments section. If you're joining us via our link, our broadcast link, you may be able to ask questions using the link found at www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. Again, that's dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. So with that being said, it's my pleasure to turn it over to our fantastic and amazing principal, Principal McDonald.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bell. Greetings, everyone. Just want to thank you all for coming, finding the time to come and join us this evening for such a very important time. Now we're in the midst of a lot of change at HR Holland, and one of the most important changes that is taking place are the bond renovations. And so, with that, it is a great opportunity for your voices to be heard, the concerns that you have, because again, this is our campus within the community. So it is important that you are able to voice concerns, speak on things that you would like to see on the campus. Additionally, I ask that if your kids are present as well, parents, please allow them to see this entire process. This is one of the initiatives that we will additionally have at the campus where we're teaching students how to work collaboratively for a common goal and to better any process that's already in place. So again, thank you for coming. It is a pleasure to work with KAI, Mr. Broaden, Rain, and his whole team there. I know that they do have a vested interest in ensuring that our renovations actually mirror what we wanted to mirror within our community. So please, again, make sure your voices are heard this evening. Silence is only as good as the thought in your head. So you must be sure to voice your concerns now. You can't come to me tomorrow and say, oh, Ms. McDonough, I think I should have said, make sure you're voicing your concerns now. This is one of two community meetings that we will have. We will also have a student charrette as well. So again, we can ensure we are getting a good voice from all of our stakeholders. So without further ado, I will turn it over to, I think, Mr. Broughton.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald, for that introduction. And again, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. We're very excited about this project. This is true and dear to our heart. At KI, we really believe in transforming communities. And in being transforming communities, we have to hear your voices. So this session tonight is key to that. We want to understand what your concerns are. We want to understand what your issues are. And we want to make sure that the voice of the community is integrated into the overall process and the project. This was a great time to push pause on the overall process and really hear your collective voice. And so what we will do this evening is that we're going to walk through what the scope is as far as what was defined within the overall bond package. And this is part of the 2015 bond. So this project, what was defined in 2015 bond process. And then we'll go from there. And what we want to do is hear from you exactly what may be something else or other things that should be considered moving forward. So again, we wanted to push pause in the overall process and really hear from you. So with that being said, I am going to share my screen and walk you through a couple of items here. And make sure I'm sharing the bright screen. Everyone seeing my screen with the map of HI Holland
Yes.
Elementary School? Great. So of course, everyone's very familiar with the school and the location of it, but we're going to jump right in and talk about the scope. So the project as it was defined included priority 1 and priority 2 deficiencies as were defined within the long-term or long-range master planning effort that was done quite a few years ago. The project budget was $10,040,000. And so when we talk about project budget, we're talking about the full project budget. That includes not only the construction costs, but includes all what we call soft costs. So the fees for architectural engineering services, fees for permitting, FF&E. There's a whole litany of items that fall within that list of things that fall within the overall budget. That $10,040,000 is all encompassing of what it was take to do the full project. The project scope, what was included in that was big picture was a new security vestibule. Currently, as the school is planned, or the way it currently exists today, is that most of the doors, as soon as you walk into these doors, you're into the main cores of the building. What we want to do is, like is illustrated in this photograph. So this is one of the main entrances off of Padalka. As soon as you walk in through that door, you're immediately within the corridors and you sort of have free access into the building. So as far as new standards that are in place that we really want to encompass in all schools throughout the ISD is creating a secure vestibule. So you basically had to go into a secure area, pass through the front office, get checked in before you proceed into the rest of the school. So we definitely want to make sure we address that. Another deficiency that was identified was the administrative offices. The current administrative office is off of Lancaster Ave. It's severely undersized for Ms. McDonald and her staff. In addition to that, when we talk about the administrative office, we're also talking about the clinic and those support spaces. So those spaces, as far as what defined in the long-term master plan, was to basically to expand and improve those areas. The third big picture item that was included within the deficiencies was the kitchen expansion and cafeteria renovation. This is part of the original building. The kitchen was very much undersized. And really the staff there has been done a tremendous job over the years, making do with what they had, but we want to give them what they need in order to function the way they need to. So we want to expand the kitchen and basically renovate the overall cafeteria. So these are some photographs of the existing conditions on that campus. One thing we also wanted to address was new interior finishes. So we're talking about flooring, we're talking about paint, we're talking about just the overall interior aesthetic of the building. One of the things that I was really excited about when we started this project is when you go into the original building that was constructed in the 1940s, is that you had just rich wood that was in the teachers' cabinets and some of the surrounds around the marker boards or around the chalkboards and even in the doors. And the wood is just absolutely gorgeous. And just, you know, in today's standard, you can't reproduce that. You can't buy that because it's so expensive. So we're going to refresh all those teacher cabinets, all that existing woodwork, and really use that as an asset because it's a great asset to the campus. And we really want to preserve that and build upon it. But when we start talking about ceiling grids and ceiling tiles and flooring and paint, we want to bring those up to a new standard. The roof on this particular project or this particular building is aged, and we're going to be replacing the roof. We're also looking at upgrading the lighting. So most of the fixtures throughout the building are basically fluorescent light fixtures, which is an older technology. Current technology is LEDs. So we're going through and outfitting the facility with new LED light fixtures, which would actually improve the environment as well. So in addition to the new finishes, these new LED fixtures are going to bring a new and fresh look to the space as well. We also want to consider and make sure that the space is conducive for learning and for teaching. So we want to make sure that the HVAC is up to current standards. So we're replacing the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment in the building as well. And another problem, an ongoing problem or issue that the school has been subjected to is the elevator. The elevator just hasn't functioned the way that it needed to over the years. So we're going to replace that elevator and replace with a brand new elevator. So those are the big picture items as far as what was included within the priority 1 and priority 2 deficiencies. And so all these items are wrapped up into that $10,040,000 project budget. And again, project budget, and I know some of you are joining a little bit late, the project budget includes all the costs of the project, including construction, architecture, engineering fees, permitting fees, furniture, equipment, kitchen equipment, all encompassing. So that's all encompassing with everything that it's going to take to do the project. So with that being said, that's a general overview of the deficiencies. So what we want to do right now, and I think Ms. Bell is going to step in and help assist with this task, is that, so this is what was defined within the long range report. What we want to do is we want to document what your wishes are, what your desires are, what the issues that you know that we may not know. We want to document that. So this is your box. So we're going to document that tonight. And we're not necessarily going to come up with solutions tonight, but we want to document it and come back again when we have our second meeting in a few weeks and talk about how can we incorporate some of these items after we sit down with the district and kind of go through and prioritize and make some recommendations. So with that being said, Ms. Bell, I'm going to turn it back over to you to sort of start that conversation. I'm going to pause.
Again, we want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We know we have, about 100 people already online viewing us through our um, direct broadcast, and we have about another 25 or 35 out on Facebook. So if you have questions, this is an engaging session. We want to make sure that we're hearing from you. Again, through our long range plan, the district identify certain discrepancies, certain deficiencies for the building. But this is your building, your campus, and we want to hear from you about what you would like to see happening at your Dallas ISD school, at your HI Holland. You can submit questions starting right now. If you're on Facebook, please just ask your question in the comment section. If you're not, you can ask your questions at the link at www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015. We do have one question here already. Thank you so much. Dallas ISD, the question is Dallas ISD approved $10 million for all roofs across the district. Why would this not be under that same umbrella?
And I'm not going to be able to answer that question. If Mr. Thompson, I'm not sure if you can speak to that question or not.
Mr. Thompson, I believe you're on mute.
Are we referring to the 2015? I'm trying to, I guess I'm trying to figure out, okay.
Yes, yes.
So I'd have to look and see if that's already been utilized by all the other projects that we've already done in relation to 2015, but I'll follow up on that particular line item.
Okay, and also as a follow-up to that question, if you could clarify, the next question is, what is the construction bond amount for Holland? You're referencing the bond 2015, correct? Yes, okay. The construction bond amount, just the construction budget, do we have the construction budget handy there?
We can get that for you. I know it's a little bit, just under 8 million, somewhere around 7.7 million, I believe, is the number.
About 7.75, that's for construction only.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Now we have another question. Are there any plans to renovate the school's auditorium? And if there aren't, this certainly should be an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, this is one of the items that we need to document. So let's, Sonia, let's document the auditorium. Ms. Bell, one thing I did want to clarify. So as we develop this list will be taken back to the district and we'll work through it. So this isn't an all-encompassing list of what will be incorporated, but we'll work through that within the next couple of weeks because budget is, of course, a concern and finding the money. So there's a lot of mechanisms and things that have to go into place. I just wanted to just clarify, this isn't, we're not making a commitment tonight, but we're here to listen. We're going to document, and we're going to go back to the district and have these discussions.
Okay, great. And again, in order to ask questions, we're here to listen to you and hear from the community about what your concerns are and what you would like to see happen at HI Holland. If you're joining us on Facebook, please submit your questions in the comment section. We'll get back right back with you and ask those questions. If you're joining us on the live feed, you can submit your questions at dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. That's dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. We do have a question coming from Facebook. All of my family went to Lisbon. Now my children go to Lisbon. We're glad to, first of all, let me say thank you for trusting us for your generations or your families to be able to educate you at Lisbon Elementary School. My question is, will the restrooms be renovated? And is it possible to add more restrooms?
So we'll add restrooms as well as far as the restroom renovations to the list.
Okay.
And we'll also place additional restrooms on this list as well.
Great. We have another question coming in. Will anything be done to the portables? The floors underneath are shifting, popping up nails, and breaking tiles. There is no urinal in the boys' restroom. The roof leaks when the rain is bad. There's no covering when the students get off the bus to protect them from the weather. The side of the building has loose and broken slats, which allow critters to get underneath the building.
Okay, so there's a couple items in there. So I'm hearing
Let me
addressing
break it down. Let me
issues.
break it down first about the portables.
Portables, yeah. So
Mhm.
that's one item. They're also looking for a bus canopy,
Correct.
drop off and pick up. And
Mhm.
was there another item where it's just those two in that list?
The restrooms were there again.
Okay.
Um, I believe there was the information about the roof, which we already covered in your presentation. And the side, it seems as though, I think the referencing here are to the roofs um, and the broken slats on the portables themselves,
Okay, broken slats on the portables. Okay.
on the sides of the portables, and then also the portable roof leaks as well.
Okay. And so we're talking about slats on the portables. Is that at the steps or is that for the, do we know clarification on that?
It says the side of the side of the portable building has loose or broken slats, which allow critters to get underneath the building.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming they were referencing the skirting.
The surrounding goes around the bottom of the portables.
Correct. Uh-huh. Okay. We're
And while
checking.
your document, there's another question about what's inclusive of the interior updates. Does that include new floors, new doors, classrooms, updates, or just touch-up paint? So just to break down that new interior finishes scope, that includes new flooring. We're maintaining the existing doors because those are the original wood doors, and we really want to preserve and upkeep those because they're really nice. New ceilings and paint. So yeah, when we're talking about finishes, those are the general things that we're talking about.
We have another question from Facebook. What are the plans for the special need and early learners that are isolated in the buildings that are not conducive to safety?
So we'll put that down as an item as well, but there are some improvements we're doing within the building to address some of the special needs requirements in the school. But it is
Great.
partially included, but we're not necessarily going towards the ed specs, but it's addressing some of the basic deficiencies. But we'll put that down as well for functional life skills.
Okay. And also, if you're joining us on Facebook, if you're joining us in Facebook in Espanol, please visit our Facebook page in Espanol, Dallas ISD in Espanol, and you will hear the simulcast there in Spanish. Okay, we have a couple more questions coming in. So, okay, the clarity on the portables is that there's slats that they're referring to are from the ground upwards about 2 to 3 feet.
Okay, yeah, so it's the surround that goes around the bottom of them. Know exactly
Correct.
what you're talking about.
Mhm.
It's basically the skirt that goes around the perimeter of it.
Once again, if you're just joining us, this is a meeting for H.I. Holland at Lisbon Elementary School about the renovations and upgrades for the school related to the Bond 2015 program. If you're joining us on Facebook, please submit your questions as comments on our Facebook feed. If you're joining us on our live feed, you can make comments and ask your questions at dallasisd.org /bond 2015 meetings. Again, that's dallasisd.org /bond 2015 meetings. This is a listening session, so we really would like to hear from you about what you see as far as deficiencies and needs for your school. Um, so please share, share, share. If you, and perhaps Jordan, if you could kind of, since we've had a couple of people join us a little bit late, if you could kind of go over the overview again of the different deficiencies that have already been identified, that would be great.
Sure. So I'm going to scroll back over here briefly. So big picture, the things that we're looking at currently that are in the budget in the overall project is a new security vestibule. So when you enter the building from a public standpoint during the middle of the day, you go into basically a secured area and then enter into the front office. So you'll have those proper clearances and they'll clear you before you go into the building. That isn't present currently in the building, so we're going to address that. The admin office or administrative offices and the clinic for the building are severely undersized. And so we're expanding those areas and renovating those areas to meet the current educational requirements and specifications. Um, the kitchen in the building is one of those spaces, again, that's very undersized, but they make it work the way they do some way, somehow. But we're going to give them a kitchen that's appropriately sized to serve the students well, in addition to renovating the cafeteria, the existing cafeteria. New interior finishes, and thank you, Ms. Johnson, for that question. So that includes new flooring, that includes repainting the walls. That includes replacing ceiling tiles and touching up those interior finishes throughout the building where they see that we need to do that. We really want to preserve the wood that's in the building because it's really a great asset that's there. So all the teacher cabinets, the chalkboards are being replaced with new marker surfaces. I failed to mention that the first time. So that's included as well. So we're incorporating those in the new interior finishes. The roof is being replaced. We're replacing the old fluorescent light fixtures with new LED light fixtures, which will greatly enhance the overall environment as well. Um, Improving the heating and ventilation equipment and replacing that in the building. And then last but not least is the elevator and replacing that elevator, which is not currently functional.
Okay, we do have a question regarding pre-K classrooms. The question is, can the pre-K classrooms and the portables be upgraded?
We'll put that down as an item here. And when you say upgraded, do you want to clarify as far as upgrading them currently in place, or is there something beyond upgrading that they're requesting?
Okay, if the community member who submitted that question could please provide us a little bit of clarity. If you would like, what you mean by upgrade? Would you like that upgraded as far as interior movement, or just a little bit more clarity on that question? And again, to submit questions, if you're on us Facebook, on either our Spanish language or our regular Facebook channel, please go in and just submit your questions as comments. We are monitoring the Facebook feed for your questions and comments. If you're joining us via the live feed, you can submit your questions, comments, concerns um, on dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. Again, that's dallasisd.org bond/bond 2015 meetings. So can you talk a little bit about, we had a couple of questions going back about the actual covering going in, the bus stop and all of that. Was that included, or a new student interest? Was that a part of the um, scope
Yes,
as well?
yes, ma'am. So in the basic scope, we are, and this is, I can zoom in on this area and talk a little bit more about that. So we are improving this area. We're planning to improve this area with a new bus drop-off, a covered area where the students will have some shelter, inclement weather when they do have to stand outside, but also what we're really looking forward to is providing some staging area within the building as well. So during really bad weather days, they can stage inside the building and come straight out to the buses under some form of cover. So yes, ma'am, we're planning on improving that as well.
Okay. We have a question. The theater classroom is very dated. Um, this is from a Facebook question in Spanish. So if we could add the theater classroom to the list of concerns from the community.
And Ms. McDonald may need to clarify this for us. I know that we have an art room and we have sort of a music room. Do we have a dedicated theater room in the building? Because I want to make sure we capture the right room.
Are they referring to the auditorium?
They said the theater classroom.
So the only two classrooms there would either be the art or music room, which, those are the two that are switching.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll put that down. So we're going to put it down as the art and the music room, and then we'll figure out if the person that asked that question wants to clarify. But those are the two rooms we think that you're talking about. But
Great.
we'll document that as well.
Okay, we also have another question. Can you add a canopy shade for the pre-K exit area? Kids and parents along with teachers get wet when it rains, or is it in really hot temperatures, it's too hot to stand while the kids get out. Benches on the playground, and that's one. It would be a canopy and I'm assuming the pre-K area is in the portables. So a canopy shade for the pre-K area that would include the portables. is one. A follow-up on this same question would be benches on the playground to sit for kids for rest, because right now the kids are sitting on hot concrete or wet concrete, which is not ideal.
Okay, duly noted. We'll get those onto our list here.
So, Ms.
Okay.
Bell, if you could clarify, we actually have pre-K 4 is in the building and there's no canopy area there at all. And then pre-K 3 is in the portable and there's no canopy. So if we could get a clarification on
Let's just to be safe, let's just say a canopy in both in both of those areas would be great.
Okay.
Okay. We have another question. Can the gym get upgraded restrooms and proper water fountain for kids to drink from? The current one there doesn't always work.
Duly noted.
And also we have a question. How many portables are at the campus currently?
That is a great question.
so there are currently two portable units, and within one unit there are 3 classes, and in the other unit there are 4 classes.
Okay.
So 2 units for a total of 7 classes.
Okay. And we do have clarification on this, the recommendation as far as the theater room. They actually were referencing the auditorium.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So another question here. You're updating the HVAC for the main building. Hold on, people coming in quick. You're updating the HVAC for the main building. Are you also updating the HVAC for the portables since they do not run off the same system? The one in the the HVAC system in the portables are adjustable, but the thermostats tend to go in and out.
Okay. So we'll make a note of that as well.
Mhm. And then I have another question here. I feel that the pre-K 3 classroom needs to be within the building or at least with a better portable building. The flooring is very fragile with cracks and elevations.
Okay.
So, Ms. McDonald, a question. This is a follow-up for those who do not know. Are all of your pre-K 3 classrooms in portables or are there other classes in the portables as well?
So I have one pre-K 3 class in the portable. My tag teacher is in the portable. I have 3 specialized units. Those 3 units are in the portable, and the special education inclusion teacher is in the portable.
Okay. Okay, right here we have a couple of questions coming in from Facebook. Will there be any additional parking on the Padalka side of the building?
On Paducah,
On Paducah, yes.
yeah. So we're not planning additional parking. However, one of the things that we're thinking about doing is that if admin switches to this area, this would be primarily administrative parking and some visitor parking spaces. And then the teacher and staff parking is primarily on this side. But currently in the plans, there is no plans to increase the parking spaces. And this aerial photo is a little bit out of date. There is another parking lot that was added sometime in the past couple of years, 2 years or so, that's right here. But there are currently no plans to add parking. So if parking is a concern, we'll put it down on the list as well.
Okay. There's another Facebook question. Could it be possible to add restrooms near the cafeteria? Usually children would be sent upstairs to use, and what if they have an accident?
Sure, definitely duly noted.
Okay. Another from Facebook. Thank you for participating on Facebook. We need to figure a space and structure first. Is there space for the principal to have a private restroom as all other principals have? Someone's looking out for you, Principal McDonald. There is a lack of restrooms, period.
Okay.
Okay. Another question from Facebook. Can we please bring the special babies inside? Also, can the gym be attached to the building? So that's 2.
Okay.
One is related to the location of the SPED students, and the second is asking for some way to attach the gym to the building itself.
So so attached right now, it has a covered awning. So when they say attached, are we talking about within conditioned space, or we're talking about improving the covering that connects the 2 buildings?
Okay, Ms. Johnston, on Facebook, if you could please follow up with that question and let us know if you're talking about creating a space that would enclose it to make it so that it's connected directly to the building, or just enhancing the current covering that's existing. That'd be great. And we can add that to the list. So I have Ashton Cook here is on Facebook. It says, we at Enviro Technology Pros. Never mind, that's an advertisement. I apologize for that. So let's see if we have other questions coming in.
There's one question, Ms. Bell, in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Would it not be more cost effective to add an addition to the building to accommodate the 7 additional classes?
That's a fair question, and I'm not prepared to answer that this evening because we would need to do some cost modeling on that. But it's something that we can put down as an item that we can follow up on with the district.
Okay, and as a follow-up, as addition to that, I know and I've heard that some of the addition of classrooms sometime also require the inclusion of additional amenities such as storm totes and those type of things. Would that all that has to be factored into the budget? Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am, you are correct. So if we add additional classrooms or increase the overall occupancy of the building by more than 50 people, we will be required to do a storm shelter.
Okay. Oh, we have more questions coming in. The original teacher parking lot is old and pitted. Is the possibility of resurfacing that parking lot?
We will note that down as an item.
Okay, from Facebook, we have a number of likes on this particular comment that said, we would like everyone in the building. So that's a follow-up to the question about adding additional classroom space.
Got you. Got you.
Okay.
So they want everybody in conditioned space, contiguous.
Yes. Again, thank you so much. Your comments are really being helpful to shape this project. So we encourage you to keep asking those comments. Again, if you're on Facebook, please ask your comments, just submit them as comments on the Facebook post, and we'll make sure that we get those included on this particular project. And also, if you're listening via the live feed, please submit your questions on www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. Again, that's dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. And during just so everyone can see what's going on here, everyone's asking questions. Can you kind of zoom out so you can see how you're capturing these questions? So everyone can understand the process we have going on here.
Sure, you mean zoom out to where you can see my team working
Just,
in the background?
just to kind of let them see, because we see the little box and we see the pictures and everything, but kind of let us kind of see how they're moving things in. So,
Yeah.
in,
My team is basically working off screen. They're documenting your questions and your comments off of the screen and dragging them into our box where we're capturing everything in. So you're not seeing everything being cooked, but you're seeing it, once it's done.
great. And then if you could kind of, if we could take a look at those post-it notes we have, so everyone can see that we are, if you just kind of, make it larger on the post-it note side, so everyone can see those those are your questions, those are your comments. They're being captured live right now, so you can see that we are listening, we are paying attention, and the project team is even color coding them so they can follow up and understand where they're going. So please, please be sure to ask any questions you have and make any comments. Again, this is your school, this is your community, so we really want to hear from you. We do have a question about the internet. Can the internet connection in the external rooms, the portables, PE, music, etc., be improved?
Okay. Really wasn't aware that was an issue, but thank you for bringing that to our attention.
If you're just joining us, again, this is a meeting for the H.I. Holland at Lisbon Elementary School, Bond 2015 renovations and additions. And we're here to listen to the community about your concerns, about your desires, about your wishes for this particular project to make the school a great fit for all of our students there. You can submit if you're listening, joining us on Facebook, please just post your comments in the comments section and we'll be sure to ask them and get them documented. If you're joining us via the live feed, please submit your questions at www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. We're here to listen and capture all these. There will be a follow-up meeting. Let's talk about that. So what's the process after this, Derwin?
So the process is we'll take all these comments and we're going to sort of go through them, and some of them may already be included in the project, but we will validate that with our internal team. And then we'll sit down with the district and talk about priorities and what can be done and what can't be done financially, because it all is dictated by budget, right? Because of what's available in the 2015 bond. So we'll have those conversations, and then we'll come back, and we want to have sort of an interactive session with the community again. And then that date, you have to remind me the date, Ms. Bell. We'll kind of talk about the next steps as far as, because we want to hear your voice as far as how we think it should be integrated, the items that we talk about. So instead of working in a vacuum, we want to really work with you on that.
So everyone, please take a note and save the date on your calendar for our actual design meeting. A community meeting will be Monday, March the 22nd at 6 p.m. You can join the link and find additional information right there at the same location at Bond 2015 meetings. The link will be there. You'll be able to join us there. Again, that date is Monday, March the 22nd at 6 p.m. And it'll also be broadcast live on Facebook as well. We have two other questions. One, can the gym be added to the school in every class outside for kids' safety? No more outdoor walking during classes for kids' safety from the outside. One building for all.
Okay. So I think
Okay.
we've captured that comment before. So was there a separate comment about the gym being, I just want to make sure.
I think this clarifies the question we had about the gym. They actually wanted to be included as a part of the campus
Gotcha.
itself. And then those additional classrooms that were currently in the portables. We have a question. When is the estimated starting completion date for the project?
That's a great question. We want to make sure we get this right. So, I think right now we're going upon making sure we collect your data, your information, your input here, and then working with the district collaboratively to figure out what can be incorporated into the project. Coming back to you as far as working with you on the design charrette and integrating those things, and then really setting the schedule. So right now, I wouldn't say that we have a hard date for starting and completion. It's going to be all dictated by making sure we get this right first.
Okay. Okay, there's a question here. It kind of falls in line with some others we've had from Facebook. We don't want special needs kids to be isolated in life. How do we teach inclusion when we are isolating them in portables? And then another statement is the library needs a major update.
Okay. I would love to hear if that person could expand upon the library, capture the comment about special needs, and I really agree with that as well. Could you expand upon the library? The library was renovated or was added in, I think, the 80s or the 90s range. So is it finishes primarily? Because it has some really nice access with wood, but if they want to expand and start specifically what things are they see in the library, we'd love to hear that.
Okay, for our Facebook community, please expand. If you could just go into Facebook and expand upon your question about your recommendations regarding the library, that'd be great. We have another question coming in. The color scheme, even though very colorful, isn't traditional of the Lisbon school community. The colors of the school are green, white, and black. Is there any way to utilize these colors to keep with tradition?
Definitely something that can be considered. Yeah. And is that the route? Do they want it sort of monolithic throughout the school, green, white, and black everywhere, or would they want it just in specific areas? What's sort of the desire there? We love to introduce
Yeah,
color.
is that referring to the exterior or the interior palette?
Okay, if we
For
could,
all of it.
the person who made the statement about the color scheme, if that community member could go ahead and expand upon that and just do a follow-up question to expand upon that. Are you talking about using that particular color palette throughout the building? And with you talking about exterior and interior, if you could please expand upon that, we'll get that question asked. We'll get that added to the board.
Probably exterior and interior. That is one thing that I've heard from the last meeting with the color. When you think about the lockers and the lion head it was going to be by the staircase, I've heard several concerns about wanting it to remain, with Holland's campus colors as opposed to the varying colors there.
Understood.
Okay. We have another question from Facebook. Can additional room be added specifically designated as a testing room for locking up testing materials?
So that is in the scope. As part of the admin additions, we're doing a new vault in storage areas for testing materials. Yes, we have that included.
Great. And a follow up about the library. Can the library be expanded or organized? Before COVID, they would allow parents to visit. And when I visited the library, it was very unorganized, which made it look small. Could it become bigger?
We'll put that down as an item. I know that there's some space that we're recapturing in the library that was once used as admin space that the librarian may be able to reuse for some of her storage and some other items. But we'll
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Can you repeat the question or how it was stated,
Okay, let me go back to it one more
please?
time. Um, it's on Facebook. Give me 1 minute to go back to it on Facebook. Can the library be expanded or organized? Before COVID, they would allow parents to visit, and when I visited the library, it was very unorganized, which made it look small. Could it become bigger? So they're asking. It seems as though the question is about additional space in the library and or organizational systems that would help in the library.
Sure. We can definitely take a look at that.
Okay, great. And there's also another comment coming about using those traditional colors. Mascot last time the lions were not very nice looking. Can we have other mascots to choose from?
So I'm going to ask a follow up question to that because we run into this a fair amount in schools. Is that the line? We've seen different variations of the line. Is there an official line, or are you looking for a rebrand of the line? Sort of what's the desire?
There is a tradition. Each school in the district does have has a branded mascot that is being used. And if the principal wants to update that or in any way change from what the official mascot is, Artworks, you'd have to work through the process internally with the district. So I guess that maybe that gives some thing, and I think that leads back to the desire of the community to have something that's more traditional. Um,
Miss
the,
Bell, do we have a lion that we can show the community?
I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe Miss McDonald, do you have that? Or we can certainly make that available during the design. Charette, when we come back, so we can show it then.
Sure, I
And
think that'd be great, and let the community decide what line they want to choose.
okay, great. So, Ms. McDonald, if you're getting feedback about lines, it's something you want to pursue as far as a mascot, then reach out to me and I'll connect you with the proper department in the within the district if it's something that you want to upgrade. So the other we had the question about the use of the traditional color scheme. The follow up is that they wanted exterior and interior to keep with the traditional school colors. Let's keep tradition in mind when renovation the community's campus. So this community is expressing their desire to make sure that we're using traditional colorings and traditional mascots and traditional things that belong to this community to keep it branded. And also, we're having here this school is a voting site. Have we considered space for voting poll booths?
We
Great question.
Yeah, we definitely put that down. And just clarification on what particular area they use for voting, whether it's the gym or whether it's the library, just make sure we have that. I know Dallas County is going through updating their voting system, so make sure the correct infrastructure is there.
Mhm. Everyone in Facebook, everyone is loving the idea of using green in the building. We're having a lot of likes and a lot of comments saying green, green, green. So I guess that would give you a little bit of direction when it comes to the actual design elements there. Okay, again, if you're joining us late, um, we're here for the HI Holland at Lisbon listening session. We're here to hear your concerns, your questions, and get your feedback on exactly what you're looking for and needing in this particular project. If you're joining us on Facebook, please ask your question as a comment on Facebook, and we'll share it here on the feed and get it added to the visioning board. And if you're joining us on the live feed, you can submit your questions online at www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. Again, that's dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. Okay, we do have A comment, the campus was built in 1940. Will the existing classrooms meet the 20th century 2019 ed specs and TDGS spoke about at the last Dallas ISD board meeting?
Yeah, so I can address that. So when we have scope that we're touching a classroom, and when I say touching a classroom or modifying a classroom, it's our intent always to try to meet those classrooms, meet the TDGs or the current ed specs. Working in existing buildings is somewhat of a challenge sometimes. So, we do what we can do within the limits of the existing building footprint. And I think there's one or two classrooms that we're planning on, combining or trying to meet the current aspects, which is the current certain size. So where we can accommodate it, we can't. We try to, but it's all isn't always achievable, but we try to.
Great. We have another point of clarity regarding going back to the issue about the gymnasium. Facebook comment says they would like to have the gymnasium connected to the building, so it's all a part of the building. So I think that lines up with the other comments we've heard about the additional classroom space and also about the gymnasium as well.
So it's similar to this comment we have already.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, we have a question coming also from Facebook from us. Are they going to send the kids to a different school during construction?
That has not been determined yet as of yet. Traditionally, we do the project in phases and just rotate students around through swing space. But right now, that was the current sort of direction we've understood. Um, but we don't make those decisions. So I'll deflect that to district leadership.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, Ms. McDonald, Mr. Downey, if you wanted to address that.
I'll address that. I mean, basically, we generally do it in phases and off times, but we'll reevaluate that again and see if, um, if it's necessary to move, we'll have that conversation. But we were planning on doing the construction in phases and working around the students, not around them, but have them in different spaces. Is what I meant.
Can someone explain to me how we're gonna work around the students? That are we gonna be doing major construction while the kids are in the building?
Trustee Johnson, the scope and way we've seen this done before is, especially in the let's take the classrooms for example. As far as renovations of flooring, painting, the contract can take 2 or 3 classrooms at a time, and sometimes you've had to bring in portables on an interim basis to swing those students to the classes into those portables if you don't have the capacity on the site currently, so they can take those 3 classrooms, do the renovations, and they'll move the students into the portables for that interim period of time, and it can vary. So no, they wouldn't be working in the same space. It can be achieved, but it just depends on the level of renovation and also trying to utilize the summers, spring break for sort of the more heavier work, the more work that's really going to get into really tearing the rooms apart or tearing the building apart. So that's traditionally how it's been approached.
Are there going to be any asbestos abatement? I know this is an older building, so are there going to be an asbestos abatement?
I mean, you would imagine there's still some asbestos in the building, so I imagine we're planning on some level of abatement.
So, what's the plan for the asbestos abatement with the kids in the building?
Yeah, that'll be something that'll be done in accordance with the state standards, Trustee Johnson, as far as controls and measures put into place. But now the district has a separate department that handles.
Well, that's why I'm asking Mr. Thompson. Who would be the one that we would speak with? Because we do know whether you have abatement at nighttime or on the weekend, especially travel in the air. So that's an unsafe environment for kids. So how do we advocate to make sure that that do not happen? That's a very high concern for me, and it will be for my community.
I'll have that down and incorporate that into if we're going to move the students or what the scheduling is going to look like.
Thank you. Please get with the principal on that so we can have that understanding.
Okay, we have a number of questions coming in from Facebook about these are the first about the decor. Um, they the decor we decided not to use the colorful cat that looked artistic. It was actually offended the school color is green and the lot that is a lion. They're saying, please make sure it's a lion and not a cat. So that's something that's very passionate coming across here. Um,
No, duly noted and understood. That was an illustration of what it could be, but we totally understand it is a lion and not a cat.
a lion and not a cat. That has been stated several times out here. Um, they love the idea of more color and the color in the school being more colorful, but they want a way to provide the traditional elements with brightness. So they're not opposed to having other color. They just want to make sure that the driving force is still that tradition, that Lisbon Holland tradition. Um, can more storage be added to the classroom, such as cabinets above the sink?
It's something we can explore.
Okay. And then we have another one. The plumbing is horrible. The school has such an offensive odor that no one seems to be able to correct. Will that be handled during this process?
We'll put it down on the list as something that we're aware of.
Okay, great.
Let me pause right there. You said we put down the stuff that you are aware of. What are we aware of?
We're aware of the sewer smell, Trustee
Is
Johnson.
Principal McDonald's, is that the only thing that's bringing the stink up is the sewer smell?
Yes, we are not really sure. At one time, we thought it was a flooring issue that was resolved. The smell alleviated for a little while, but it came back. It's starting to come back now. So I
So
think it was a combination from that, and then like the grease trapping that's outside. It's like a couple of things that's causing that odor.
have Dallas ISD spoke with you about the resolve of this? Do we know exactly where it is and what's going on?
No, sir. Because again, we thought it was the floor. When they uncovered the floor and they replaced it, the smell went away for a while. Then we went away. We went out on COVID, and probably within maybe around November, December, the smell started to come back.
Well, I know it's there because when I visited with the school
Yeah.
not the other week, it was there. So I guess, Mr. Thompson, have we identified where the problem resides?
No, I would tell you that the city is replacing the sewer line at the street, or has been in that area. So they've already indicated that we probably need to replace our sewer line to the building. So we've got that incorporated in what we're discussing.
Okay, and I want you to know that smell was before the city started doing sewer line.
Well, I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying that's what I've learned to date. So we still have the request from the city for us to replace the sewer line, which we'll have to incorporate.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a question. Why would plumbing not be considered deferred maintenance and not included in the bond funds for this project?
Well, we'll be looking at all the different facets of what we need to do. So since the sewer line was not in the overall scope, we're going to have to consider that from a different funding source.
Okay, great. So we have several other questions coming in, and I want to make us aware we're kind of running out of. We're getting towards. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. We have about 5 minutes left in this particular meeting. We want to thank everyone for joining and your enthusiasm and all the comments. We will be leaving this particular form up for a few more days to the end of the week. So if you have additional questions, please feel free to submit them at dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. The comments form will stay open until the end of the week. So all entrance and exit doors, will there be cameras at each door? Is
So
one question.
yes, ma'am. The ISD police, we've been working with the ISD police as far as overall plan for cameras. So that we'll be working with them directly.
Okay. A follow-up question to that is also, will parents have to buzz in from outside to get into the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Another part of that one, will the teachers have a badge and can enter any door of the school? I'm assuming by swiping their badge.
We will look into that. We have looked as far as we've talked to the district about card readers, and as far as distribution of who has badges or not, that's really an administrative item that has to be worked out. I really can't answer that question, but maybe Mr. Thompson or someone else could. But we are planning on card readers and door access to several doors throughout the building.
Okay. Another question, there are currently national health recommendations that public school classrooms and offices have working windows for ventilation moving forward. Can this be accomplished with the new changes? Not all classrooms and offices currently have working windows.
We can put it down on the list and we'll have to make an assessment as far as what classrooms don't have working windows.
Okay. So again, as we're wrapping up tonight's meeting, if you have any additional questions, please submit them either on Facebook in the comments or at www.dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings.
Ms. Dwayne, can you send me uh, the the PowerPoint presentation that shows exactly what the building's going to look like on the inside? Colors and all. Do we have those renderings or in the PowerPoint presentation?
Actually, Trustee Johnson, we had just discussed that we're going to be having a follow-up meeting in a couple of weeks where we'll be taking some of these comments and talking about those design elements for
Thank you.
additional community support.
Thank you.
Okay. So with that being said, we're at 6:55 now. Our meeting is set to close at 7 p.m. So, okay, two more questions. One more question has come in. I would like to see the office more open and see-through. Can we have glass windows and walls just for the school office? That's part one.
Okay.
And part two is, and a front driver for the buses and student drop off. I know sometimes kids still have to go to the front of the school to go in.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms.
So
McDonald.
go ahead, Ms. McDonald.
I was just gonna say, we don't have, the only buses we have is on the Ann Arbor side for our specialized units. And when it comes to students, if they have to go to the front, they miss the morning duty time. So, there would be a timeliness thing for that parent. But the front entrance of the campus will change, and it would now be the Paducah side as opposed to the Lancaster side also.
As we draw this meeting to the close, Trustee Johnson, thank you for joining us tonight. Would you like to have any closing remarks before we move to Ms. McDonald?
I want to thank the principal and the community for all that they're doing and this opportunity for our kids. I think it's going to be great for our kids. Want to make sure that this project is done with class and it meets the community need. So I'm going to support whatever the community wants because we're a big advocate of equity and want to make sure that our community and kids are proud of this building. So thank you so much for everything you guys are doing.
Okay, thank you, Trustee. And one additional point has come in before we close out. Can the teachers receive more bookshelves and storage areas, storage equipment in their rooms? If we could add that to the big board as well.
Okay.
And just as a reminder, we thank everyone for their input tonight and on sharing your ideas and thoughts. The design team will be meeting with the principal and with district leadership to follow up on this. We will have a follow-up meeting and a design charrette that will focus more on what you'll see within the meeting, the color schemes, the mascot, and those type of things. So please save the date for Monday, March 20th at 6 p.m. The information on joining that meeting and the links will be at dallasisd.org/bond 2015 meetings. We will also have the comment board that you've been adding comments to today will remain open at that site through the end of this week. So if there's something that you missed or just think about after the meeting, please feel free to share those ideas, and that will be forwarded over to the project team as well. So Ms. McDonald, if you want to close out.
I just want to thank everyone for attending this evening. To all my parents that are on the call, please, again, make sure your students are engaged in this process also. It's important for them to see, collaboration at its finest, just to be able to share their thoughts and concerns and how they feel as well, and actually be able to build a design for a campus that is their school. So thank you, parents, all community members, for being involved and for voicing your concerns. Remember, number. It is important for you to voice your concerns in the virtual meeting. And I'm open to anything that you have, but make sure we're sharing it on this platform so that we can make sure that everyone's concerns are heard. Thank you, Trustee Johnson, for all you do to fight for equity in our community and make sure we have a voice throughout this process. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.
Thank you.